what's up? Hello, my name is Emma, and today I am going to be reviewing Shadowhunters episodes 15 and 16 of Season 2B. If you missed it, I am reviewing Shadowhunters Season 2B all week long, and if you missed my previous episode reviews, or if you want to check out any of my Shadowhunters TV related videos, all of those will be linked below, but today we are focusing on my thoughts on episodes 15 and 16, so let's just jump right into episode 15. So ultimately, I feel like not much happened in this episode, but I actually enjoyed it so much more than a lot of other episodes in this season. I'm not saying that it was like boring because nothing happened. I'm saying that it wasn't overpowered by 10 different competing plot lines, and it made for a really well structured episode. I really loved the moment between Clary and Simon where she is explaining that she loves Simon as well as she loves Jace. I thought Kat's acting in the scene was really great, and I'm also very pleased that Simon actually stood up for himself and didn't just take it. I'm actually more pleased with their like official breakup in the show than in the books, because in the books like their breakup is super understated because their relationship wasn't all that intense and they just like immediately go back to being friends. In the show, I'd like to say that Clary and Simon were in love and they were very, very serious, and I think in the show Simon is much more heartbroken, and that's really displayed through his actions. So Simon's prints are caught on a dead mundane who is killed from vampires. I am shooketh. They did Simon so dirty. He just lost the first love of his life. Now he's being arrested for a murder he didn't commit. I am side-eyeing the writers so hard. So Aline Penhallow is introduced into the story, and I was really happy with her casting, and I feel like it was a good moment to introduce her because we have just introduced Sebastian. I will say, I feel like she's not a very developed character. I mean, in the book, she's a very minimal character as it is, but I feel like in the show, she has even less significance because we don't have that moment between her and Jace where Clary walks in on them, and like, we haven't really touched on her character yet at all. She's just kind of there. So I'm hoping that in season 3 we'll delve more into it because I think that she's a great character and she deserves more rep. Can we just let this shape-shifting rune die? I'm so over it. I was over it a year ago though, so it's not like much has changed. I do really like how Simon and Raphael's relationship is developing because it's so similar to the books. Especially because now Simon is a daylighter. We have all of that tension between the two of them where Raphael turns him away from the Dormart, and I thought it was done really well. I really like their dynamic. Like, they are electric when they're on screen together, and I really want more scenes from the two of them. Another thing I really loved about this episode, obviously this is like a very, very positive review. I really loved the moment where we see Magnus being vulnerable and starting to really open up to Alec about his past. It was just so emotional and raw, and I really like how they are turning Alec and Magnus' struggles in the books that created a lot of problems between the two of them. They're making it into something that is more positive and healthy. Like, I really, really like this change. I also think it's probably the very best scene that I have ever seen Harry act in all of Shadowhunters, so I'm really, really impressed by him. Another great moment is when Izzy and Aline are literally feet away from the real Sebastian Verlac, and we're like this close to having Sebastian's secret revealed, and Sebastian, being Jonathan, actually kills him. That was a high intensity moment. This was not something I was expecting at all from the episode, so like, good job on the writers for that. So we have the reveal that Sebastian is Valentine's son, as he is, but underneath the shape-shifting rune and the disguise of Sebastian Verlac, he is seriously burned. I don't want to make a joke out of it because it is a result of abuse, and even though I think it is a super dumb decision on the writer's part, even though the CGI is terrible, I don't want to make a joke out of that. I will reiterate though that it destroys the relationship we have between Sebastian and Valentine, and that's what I'm upset about. We don't have all of these years of Valentine conditioning Sebastian and abusing him and molding him into what Valentine wanted him to be. And like I said in my last review, that is an integral part of Sebastian's character. Take it away, what do you have? His demon blood. That's all we're seeing, and that's a disservice to his character in my opinion. You know what? I don't know what to say about it. I think it's a bad decision. I think they should have just went with the books from the beginning with Sebastian's plot line, because they made it into something convoluted that's totally different, and it's definitely not as powerful in my opinion anymore. For the most part, I think episode 15 was overwhelmingly positive. Like, as you can see, I really liked the majority of this episode. It's just literally the last 2 minutes that just like broke it all down and made it dumb, and it felt like dumb Shadowhunters again, and I thought we were really getting somewhere, but just again, like episode 14, could have just cut off that last little bit and it would have been a perfect episode. Now let's move on to episode 16. Okay, first thing I want to say about this episode, that scene where they're like zooming into Clary's face and she's having like this eye twitch moment, it made me very uncomfortable. I did actually warm up to the change of having Clary enter Lake Lynn with Jace instead of Luke. Their dynamic in this scene was very reminiscent of Clary and Jace in the Manor scene in City of Glass, so I just really liked seeing their conversation unfold. Like, it felt very normal and easy and like Jace and Clary, and I just felt they have a lot of chemistry in this scene. I'm also very happy that Maya has a bigger part in this episode, because I think Maya has kind of been taking a back seat, and I think that she really deserves a bigger role in the series. Unfortunately, we're back to Shadowhunters' plot not making sense to me. So Clary creates a portal to get her and Jace to Lake Lynn, but later when Izzy and Alec go into the same room and it's like all disruptive from the portal, there are portal shards all over the floor, and I don't think this is something that has been established for portals before. Like, we've seen a lot of portals, and I've never heard of portal shards before. I have never seen in the show before where they have little like glass pieces of a mirror where they can see where the last person went. Is this not a plot hole? Like, did I miss this for the last 2 seasons? Because I genuinely don't remember anything similar to this. And this is a concept that is in City of Bones. At Renwick's, the portal is a mirror, and so when the portal smashes, there is a shard where Jace can see his old house in Idris. But this isn't something that was established in the show before. The portal is made out of thin air. Where did a physical shard come from? It doesn't make sense. And to think I thought we were doing good with the plot. Also, they still have those terrible angel wings. Listen, if you're going to incorporate mythical creatures into your fantasy TV show, you need to put a fraction of your budget into CGI so it doesn't look super cheesy and people like me won't make a joke out of it. And that wall of flames around Valentine, like, honestly, I have found better Sony Vegas sparkles to download for free on YouTube. So Maya finally starts to open up about her brother and her family, which was so exciting. I was really digging that scene between Maya and Simon's family for their Jewish holiday. Like, I feel some really great vibes between Simon and Maya, and I think it was just like such a great starting point for the reboot of their relationship. It was such a beautiful scene from Alicia. Like, you can really tell that this girl has a talent for what she's doing, because there was just so much emotion in the way that she was speaking, and I thought it came across beautifully. I will say, this is the first episode where I've been a little disappointed by Will Tudor. Will Tudor does the evil charm thing really well. But when it comes to like the anger and the ferociousness that we see in this episode, it kind of came across a little forced and inauthentic to me, given it could just be because he has a very pretty face. But there's just something about it where it just didn't feel like Sebastian. I feel like Sebastian has a very cold and collected anger. I don't feel like he loses control often, and I feel like his emotions are just like all over the place in this episode and the coming episodes. So I just don't feel like it's as controlled as the Sebastian we know. It's a little disappointing because that was a villainous trait of Sebastian that I really valued, and it's just not really there in the show. But I also really don't understand this Sebastian and Valentine plotline in this episode. Essentially, Sebastian is like this close to sending Valentine to eat him with the soul sword, but then like later he's sitting down to dinner with him and they seem to be on the same side. What I gathered is that Valentine grabs a soul sword and is telling Sebastian about how he is his greatest creation and he really regrets sending him to eat him. And as a result of that, because the soul sword makes you tell the truth, Sebastian believes Valentine and he starts to forgive him, or at least give him a second chance. I really don't like this change in dynamic, because if they're being genuine, I don't think Valentine is. I think Valentine is scheming, and I think Sebastian is the one who may be showing more truth in his character. But if they're both being genuine, it's just polar opposite to what their characters are supposed to be. Valentine doesn't really feel regret or compassion. Everything he has done his entire life, every action has been for the greater good. He is willing to kill his adoptive son for his cause. Sebastian was created for a purpose. He was born to bring down the walls of the clave in order for Valentine to bring about change, which he believed to be his mandate from heaven. And even in that respect, Sebastian lacked crucial aspects of human nature. He wasn't able to be Valentine's perfect warrior. So I don't believe he would feel that he was Valentine's greatest creation. And that's why Valentine holding the soul sword doesn't make sense, because we're led to believe that when you hold the soul sword, you're telling the truth, and we haven't really seen that Valentine can manipulate that. So like, I feel like they're really changing integral parts of Valentine's character because that's what we have to believe is truth based on previous episodes. And Sebastian is not a forgiving unforgiving character. The only person that ever has any sway over him is Clary. So I do not believe for a second that Sebastian would reconsider sending Valentine to Eden with the soul sword if he had already decided on it just because Valentine was showing him love. In my interpretation, Sebastian never really craved Valentine's acceptance. That's really Jace's storyline, so I cannot comprehend why Sebastian would change his mind. There's one part at the end of the episode where Valentine says dinner is served, and immediately in my head I say, is it the spaghetti that you made Jace for his 10th birthday? There are certain things that Shadowhunters is never going to live down, and do you remember when I made you spaghetti is one of them. And it's not really confirmed what they're eating, but on the table it literally looks like spaghetti. I don't really have the words to explain what I'm feeling, but it's somewhat of a mix between extremely cringy and hilariously appalled. So overall for episode 16, I think it was a fairly decent episode, definitely not my favorite, and for this review I definitely preferred episode 15, but I really liked the development of Maya and Simon. I think their chemistry is going well, but I am like very disappointed with Sebastian and Valentine's plotline. Let me know in the comments of this video what were your thoughts on episode 15 and 16 of Shadowhunters Season 2B, because I am always excited to talk about it with you guys. But that is it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for episodes 17 and 18. Bye!